I literally needed a blood transfusion. Like, they're like, you've got to come in. And I think I went into the emergency room. Hey, namaste, goddess. It's Yogini Kala. I am so glad you're here. Today, I will be sharing with you some ways to help with perimenopause and menopausal anxiety. And I have a lot of experience with that. Anxiety is something I have suffered with since I think I was born as an anxious baby. So, my entire life. By the end, you will have some methods and some direct means from content that's already on my channel that you can use to begin to work with your anxiety. So stay tuned. Perimenopause is the time leading up to when you're officially declared to be in menopause. Only a doctor, they're so funny, they're really they skirt around it, they don't want to declare anything, which I understand because there are big ramifications if you think you're in menopause and say end up pregnant or something. In the US, currently as I'm filming this, they say it's if you have not had a period for 12 months, for 1 year, and then they'll say you're in menopause. But what I noticed, goddess, is that what was called menopause before, because we'd say she's going through menopause, I think we've now shifted to calling it perimenopause, because it's really, a lot of the symptoms happen before menopause. So I'm just saying, growing up, there really wasn't perimenopause, it was just menopause. And everything, and the hot flashes, and all the different things that would happen, and the difficulty sleeping, and sometimes little memory lapses, all of that, they would just call it menopause. But perimenopause, just if you don't know, can even start in your late 30s, and I think in cases even sooner. But it can be in your late 30s, certainly early 40s, you might start seeing some symptoms of perimenopause. And so again, your anxiety, especially if you were anxious to begin with, may begin spiking more. So just know that it's a longer period of time. Perimenopause, goddess, I felt that doctors that I encountered, and I'd love to know, leave a comment below about this, can be really insensitive. Some can. I'll give you an example. It's very personal, but I will share it in this channel. Hopefully it's mostly women watching. I was having very heavy flow, and I said to the doctor, do you think I'm in perimenopause? Because of this heavy bleeding. And he looked at me in just the most disdainful look. And he said, well, I don't think so. Because menopause. So I think I said, so do you think I'm going into menopause? I think that's what I said. And he goes, well, I mean, menopause is the cessation of your period. So I don't think that heavy bleeding makes sense that you're going to menopause. 3 years later, I'm talking to a different doctor, and they're like, oh yeah. When you're in perimenopause, you can have heavier bleeding. That's part of the hormonal fluctuations and yada yada. So just to say, trust yourself, research, find a doctor that is supportive, that is understanding, that is well trained, and that treats you with the respect that you treat them with. Only in hindsight, guys, did I realize, and the doctors didn't make this connection, I think that medical condition was part of why I was so severely depressed as well as anxious. Don't rule out anything, even that may seem unrelated. I definitely believe that in my case it was from fibroids. So I had such heavy bleeding that over time I literally needed a blood transfusion. They're like, you've got to come in. And I think I went into the emergency room. Yeah, it was actually the emergency room. I drove myself. Refused to get an ambulance. So just to show you that the symptoms you can be having, because this was perimenopause, can have a profound effect. So I was anxious, I was depressed, and who knows that the fact that my blood was so low, of course, would play a part in that. I'm on the phone with the doctor. I think it was directly the doctor, and they're like, are you okay? And we were going to send out a well check for you, like a wellness check or something. And I'm like, well, what's that? And they're like, well, we send out a person to go to your house and see if you're okay. And I'm like, why would you do that? And she says, well, we were afraid that you would maybe pass out or something. What? Why would I pass out? And they're like, well, your blood your blood report was so low that we were afraid that that something had happened to you in your home. And so I was like, and we're having this conversation, and so I'm just like, and they're like, do you want us to send an ambulance for you? And I'm like, no, I'll get in my car and I'll drive there. They're like, you're sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I drive all the time. I'll just drive over there or whatever. Very, very odd experience. How to be less anxious during perimenopause and menopause stage of life. What you have to understand is that stress and our stress response, goddess, was meant to protect you. So how you feel when you experience stress is meant to save your life. That is the ultimate goal of our nervous system, right? This aspect of our nervous system. So our ancestors would have dealt with a tiger or a bear or this sound in the woods that could have been life-threatening, life-ending. That's it, you're done. And so we naturally trigger the fight or flight. I'm sure you've heard of it, fight or flight, right? And so that aspect, it overrides thinking. You don't have time to think. If there's something about to jump out and kill you, you don't want to think. You want to just go into instinctive response, okay? But what's happening for a lot of us now is that we are entering that, even though it's literally not life-threatening, we're entering that state of like heightened arousal of our nervous system, okay? And then we don't, it's meant to reset. And then the parasympathetic, and it's hard for me to remember it, I'm dyslexic, but I just think of with sympathy. So the parasympathetic is supposed to come in and calm everything back down, okay? You didn't die. It wasn't a snake, it was a rope, on the ground. You're okay, you're not gonna die. But what's happening for us in modern times is we're experiencing what we feel are threats, and then we don't drop back down. We sort of stay in a heightened state of arousal. We're never really relaxed. Goddess, if you're a woman in perimenopause or menopause, check out my group coaching program that is starting in September. It will help you to become totally zen in terms of coping with this beautiful life transition, and also to start living into your dreams. So check out the link below to get on the mailing list, the waiting list for that program. The main ways that can deal with anxiety in menopause and perimenopause can work with whether you're taking hormones, if you choose to take hormones or medication, whatever you choose to do, understand that you have control if you look to things like meditation and relaxation practices that are part of stress reduction. Doctors don't, even the great ones who want to tell you that, they're afraid that you'll feel like they're not doing their job, they're not prescribing something for you. So a lot of doctors may not even mention what is scientifically proven that can help you deal with things like your anxiety. This is going to give you more control to do these practices. So I have various types of meditations. I'll have some popping up here. Okay, meditation has been proven to activate that relax, rest and digest aspect. It has profound implications. I truly believe as we go forward, if science will truly allow this to come forward, that a lot of our very serious illnesses have stress as the underlying factor. Because when I say to you rest and digest, right, your digestion is literally affected by what your nervous system is doing. Like if the muscles relax and the sphincters relax and you're able to really digest food. So there's so many diseases that spring from that if you have problems with digestion, and they seem unrelated. So if you can get your stress under control, goddess, there is loving kindness meditation. I have one of those on my channel. I'm going to put all of this below. So if you're feeling, it has to do with how you're feeling about yourself and self-esteem as your underlying stress, try loving kindness. I have mindfulness meditation. I have one that's set in nature, but it's mindfulness meditation, which I know you've heard of. Mindfulness is awesome. It's one aspect of meditation, but it is amazing because what it's going to do is when you're feeling anxious, with training, as you practice more, you're going to be able to take your mind off the anxious and bring yourself to the present. So that's one type that may work for you. I really recommend a body scan. A body scan is a type of meditation where you're basically meditating on the body. You go through different parts of the body and just feel what's going on. Now, so you can try the body scan or loving kindness or the mindfulness in nature that I have, but meditation is going to allow you to see thoughts and even feelings that are coming up that are triggering the anxiety, okay? And so if, like me and many of my clients, if you've had any sort of trauma, whether that's childhood abuse, violence, sexual abuse, had to leave because of the breakup of your family, so many things, or a serious health condition, or the loss of a parent when you were young, all of these types of trauma make you a little more sensitive. And so now, decades later, you're going through perimenopause and the anxiety kicks up. The second major grouping is deep relaxation. I also have that on my channel. When you join my tribe, that's what I send to you. So a relaxation, it's a little different than meditation. It's still with the body, but it's called a muscular relaxation. You tense and you release and you go through the body, but there's a physical aspect of releasing. And so that practice can be really good for anxiety. It's sometimes called yoga nidra or shavasana. That's another separate practice for meditation. They seem similar to, but they're actually they're separate practices. So that's something you can try, and anyone can do that. And that one you do laying down. And then the third and final aspect in terms of menopause and anxiety is to work on your breathing. I have a video, I think it's like 6 years old now, but it teaches you the 3-part yogic breath, where you breathe and the abdomen goes out, then the chest, and then like the very top of the chest. But you're using, we just say, like all 3 parts of the lungs. Like literally, think of it. If you're not getting enough oxygen, of course you're going to feel anxious because your body is like, oh my God, I need to breathe. Breathe. In yoga, I see it. That's why yoga feels good, is typically through the practices you start breathing more deeply. That's in great part why people feel relaxed. So try these, the various types of meditation, relaxation practices, and or working with your breath. And I have links to all 3 types of videos below this. Give the video a thumbs up if you appreciate it, and share it with someone. And I want to know in the comments which of these you're going to try. And then I'd love for you to come back and tell me after a week or 2 how it's going. Ask me questions. I will answer them in the comments. Stay blessed. Namaste. I'm so grateful for you being a part of my tribe. Goddess Group Coaching is starting in September. Menopause Mindfully. Check it out below. Book a free clarity call where you can find out more about the program, and I can give you some guidance and some tips. Mwah. Much love.